Today we're going to be going over knots. It's not going to be your standard Boy Scout kind of knots, although if you were in the Scouts, you might recognize some of these. But these are primarily survival-based knots. We consider them survival knots because of the way that they're designed. The knots that we're going to be showing you guys are intentionally utilized in order to reduce the amount of tensile strength that is lost on each time that you're tying one of these knots. They're easy to tie and they're easy to untie as well. Any knot that you tie is going to reduce the tensile strength of the line or the rope that you are utilizing. We want to reduce that as much as possible so that we maintain the strength and integrity of the rope or line as long as we possibly can. We don't want to just waste things. Start off when we get into the square knot. Square knot is utilized in order to tie two pieces of line of the same diameter together so that it pulls evenly and it actually increases the length of line that you currently have. So to start off with a square knot, you're going to take one line and the other one in one in each hand. You're going to cross them over, making an X, put one over the other, and then reverse the process on the other side. When you pull it apart, you'll get two little horseshoes of the both sides, and then those will be nice and situated together. You can pull tightly and they'll cinch down evenly onto each other. When you want to strike, all you have to do is make sure that you grab both sides of the same line and pull it apart, and then you can pull the line out entirely and it strikes that line very quickly, right? So that's a square knot. Again, you're going to take it, you're going to do right over left, then left over the right, just like you're tying your shoes, and it comes together just like so. Fun fact, if you ever notice that your shoes are coming untied really quickly, it's because you're doing a square knot with a bite instead of just the whole line, and you're doing it the wrong way, and you're doing a granny knot, and it's not going to work so well. So right over left, left over right, easy to do, easy to undo. When we're going into not like the bowline knot, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take the line, we're going to create an overhand loop like so, and take the standing end of the line and put a bite through that loop like this. Okay, so this would be considered a slip knot, and it slides on itself all the way around. You have your running end and your standing end, and it will cinch down. Okay, slip knots are great to utilize as well. If we want to take it one step further and take it to a fixed loop or a bowline, we're going to take that running end, feed it through the loop, bring it back over, pinch it off, and then cinch it on down until that bite feeds through our knot. And then you have a fixed loop, bowline, ready to go. That loop isn't going to change the size, and it's going to be locked into place really easily. Okay, so that is going from a slip knot to a bowline knot. Again, to strike it, all you're finding is one of the U's in the line, pulling it apart from there, and it just undoes itself. Say we want to add tension between two fixed features or whatever it is, right? We've got our bowline, we've got our running end. Going to feed the running end through the fixed loop or our bowline. Going to start applying tension, okay? However much we need, get it nice and taut, and you take your hands, you're going to pinch it off. And here you're going to take another bite, go around, under, and through, pull back in order to create your trucker's hitch. Now this is a quick release knot. All you'd have to do is find this running end line, and I would pull on it and it undoes the knot entirely, and you're ready to go. Okay, everything would just run apart. If I want that to be secured and not fall apart, still tie the trucker's hitch the same way that I did before, except now I'm going to add a safety feature to it. I'm going to take this tail end, create another overhand loop so that the running end is now over top. I'm going to throw that line over the little bunny ear, the bite that's there, and pull that down tight. And now if this gets pulled on, it's not going to come undone. It's nice and secure. It's going to lock it into place. To undo it, all I have to do is take that loop again, pull it off the top, strike it, and the knot comes undone. How to store your lines. So I like to store them in a daisy chain, and it allows me to contain a whole bunch of line or cordage together and prevents tangles or mishaps or anything else like that from happening. So I'm not going to overburden myself with knots, right? And I can undo all of them rather quickly, and no tangles, no knots, no anything else in order to sort out. So to do a daisy chain, what you're doing is you're doing slip loops. So creating an overhand bite, like so, grabbing a bite from the running end or the standing end and pulling it through that loop, just like we did when we started our bowling. But I'm going to keep my hand in there and reach down and grab another bite, pull it through again, which makes another one, followed by another one, and so on and so forth. And you can keep this process going until you run out of cordage. And at the very end, you'll just pull the rest of it on through and it'll lock the whole thing in place. There's a little give and take motion. Sometimes it's easier to stand and put your foot on this end and lock it into place. It goes a little bit faster. Don't have to, but it's another technique to do. And when I get to the end, I just pull the rest of it on through, cinch it down into place. There's a daisy chain set up, ready to go. None of my line is going to get tangled. I can throw it into a pack, have it stored up. If I need my line kits, I can grab them out again, undo the one side, pull, and the whole thing comes undone again like magic. And I have a whole bunch of line that are ready to utilize without being tangled at any point in time. All right, so one of the other things that we can do with all that knots, or all the knots that we just showed you guys, is also set yourself up for success when you do need to get out of the environment and the elements really quickly. And that's going to be setting up a emergency action shelter setup. Typically, I like to just use poncho. They're cheap, easy. You can find them at any military surplus store. Waterproof, and they're big enough to fit me and my gear underneath. So with those ponchos, what I want to be doing is making sure that I find the corners and the eyelets for those corners. Now the eyelets, what we're going to be doing is tying another knot called a girth hitch. So it's two different ways of tying a girth hitch. One, take a bite, feed it through the loop or the eyelet, reach through it, grab the rest of the lines, pull them all the way through, and cinch it on down. And there's your girth hitch. That's one way of tying it. The other way, if you have an excessive amount of line and you don't want to feed it all the way through that bite that you put through, you feed it in through the eyelet, go over, under, around, and through again, and then bring it back so that the running end is matching up with the standing end. And the loop goes around it in order to secure the girth hitch. Same knot, done two different ways. Don't care which way you do it. Find the one that works for you. Just keep doing it that way always. Okay. But once we have the girth hitch on there, we wanted to tie all four corners of our poncho with girth hitches as well. Typically, I'll try to keep the corners with 5-foot lines, because if I'm having to go more than 5 feet from my poncho, I probably picked a really bad spot in order to set up my shelter. And if I need more, regardless, say I don't have a choice, I'll just add extra line to it using a square knot in order to make sure that I have line to attach to whatever structure or item it is to anchor off the corners. I also want to secure the hood, right? Because ponchos have those, security had to go through, but I don't necessarily want to have big hole in the top of my shelter. So what I'll do is take the ties on the hood, I'll cinch them down as much as I can, but I might still need to use it as an actual poncho later on in the future as well. So once it's pretty well and secured, I'm going to grab it down at the base of the hood, twist it around, pull it on itself in order to create its own little bite. From there, I'll grab a 10-foot piece of cordage. We're going to tie another one of those slip knots. We'll take that loop, put it over top of that bite on the hood, just cinch it on down. What that's going to do is seal it off, so now rain's not going to collect inside, drip on top of me inside of my shelter. That's going to be good to go from there. Once we have all that situated, we'll grab all my corners. and bring them together. In essence, just folding up my poncho. Now I have all my lines together. Nice and clean and neat. Make sure that the inside of the poncho is all facing towards the inside. You don't want that inside accidentally on the outside. That way it stays dry inside. Keep the water on the outside, right? And then I'll tie the rest of those corners up together using a daisy chain. Keep them nice and secure. All set up together, know exactly where they are. Makes it easy. And then for the hood, I'll keep that lined up. And you can daisy chain that too, but what I'm gonna do is actually utilize this to tie everything else together. So folding from there, I'll take my daisy chain portion, fold it to the inside, grab the corners, we'll tri-fold it towards the hood, and I'll roll it from the corners all the way to the hood. Squeeze out as much air as I can. Then from the top, I can just take the leftover cordage, wrap it on down, then feed it through the last wrap that I had, cinch it into place. I've got an emergency action shelter ready to go for a poncho, and I can stick that in any side pocket, pouch, or top of my pack, or lash it to the top or the bottom of my ruck. It doesn't matter. It's just a quick, easy, accessible tool that I have ready to go at any point in time, right? When I'm ready to grab it and need to go, all I have to do is grab that tail end, pull it, and throw. It'll start unspooling itself, unfolds. Then I've got all my corners ready to go, undo those, and start attaching points in order to get my shelter put into place, right? So that's a quick, easy shelter for you guys, utilizing some of the things we just showed you. Again, remember to practice your square knot, your slip knot, fixed loop, or your bowline, and store all your lines utilizing a daisy chain to keep everything nice, clean, and uncluttered. When attaching it to eyelets and fixed loops, that's when you're looking at using your girth hitch. But get some practice in, set yourself up for success, and get to practicing.